Today, we're going to be doing a deep dive into the mistakes I see new vegans making all the time and how to actually fix them, what to practically do. Because it's one thing knowing the mistakes we're making, but it's another thing knowing what to actually do. And I've personally been vegan 6 years, started out when I was 15. I've interviewed dozens of vegans, raw vegans, who have been thriving on the lifestyle for decades now. So you're in good hands. Now, the first point, the most important point, is knowing your why. Because if you don't know your why, you're going to fall off track. You're going to just lose motivation. You're going to lose faith. You're going to just fall off the wagon, so to speak. For me personally, when I was 15, I watched Game Changers in 2019, late 2019. And for me, it was the health and performance benefits. I really wanted to be the world's best footballer at the time. I instantly noticed improvements. I made the switch basically overnight to a plant-based vegan lifestyle, excluding all animal products, all meat, all dairy, all eggs. And I instantly noticed better recovery, better energy, more mental clarity, cleared up a lot of acne on my back. It improved allergies because I had a lot of issues with dairy, especially pasteurized dairy, caused a lot of flare ups and breathing issues that I didn't even realize. So for me, that was my why. It was the health reasons. Then later on, the ethical side of things really resonated with me. I don't know, maybe a few months down the line, I never wanted to go back to meat just because I looked more into the slaughter of animals and I lost my taste for it. So that was my why at that time. For you, it might just purely be ethical, but I would also consider the health aspects. If you can combine multiple whys, like, oh, I want to be healthier, I know there's a lot of benefits to this diet, I also want to save the animals, I know it's better for the planet, then that just keeps stacking and it's going to be a lot easier for you to stay on track. And the second mistake, probably the most common thing I see all the time, is under eating, just simply not eating enough calories. Now, you may be eating more volume than ever. There may be more food in your stomach, but in terms of calories, units of energy, it's reasonably reliable. Obviously, the quality of produce, if you're eating organic versus conventional, some may have more calories and nutrients, others may have less, but it's pretty predictable, pretty repeatable. Now, when you make the switch, you go from really calorie dense, low volume, meat, dairy, eggs, processed foods, and then you go to a vegan lifestyle with maybe like high water content fruits, veggies. They're a lot lower in calories, so you can eat a lot more of them, which is great. It's perfect for weight loss. But at the same time, you're going to struggle to get in enough calories initially because your stomach, it has to expand its elasticity. It has to learn to adapt, learn to increase the meal sizes and the stretch receptors in the stomach. You have to regain that elasticity. So it takes time. You've got to be gentle with yourself. But at the same time, initially, you may have to prioritize more calorie dense foods, maybe like bananas, dates, sweet potatoes, those sort of things, like more denser foods initially. Because if you're just eating celery sticks and lettuce, you're going to get really full, but you're not going to actually meet your calorie needs for the day. You're going to feel lethargic. You're going to get that brain fog potentially. You're going to just feel like the diet's failing you, and that is often why. And the third mistake I see all the time is people fearing fruit and carbs, but fruit especially. It's one of the most ludicrous things I've ever heard, people fearing fruit. It's literally the food we're designed for. I'm going to put on screen now a chart, but essentially humans, our anatomy, our physiology, everything, the way we're designed and hardwired is to eat fruit. Now, it's just ridiculous when people say that fruit is really problematic. They're just sugar bombs. It's just laughable. Now, we'll touch on why in a moment fruit is actually problematic, potentially for you. But it's not to actually do with the fruit. It's to do with what you're combining it with, which we'll touch on in a moment. But fruit and carbs, please don't fear them. They're our main fuel source. Nearly every cell in our body runs on glucose. Some fructose, like our liver likes fructose. So that's sugar, basically. To simplify that down, that's just a sugar molecule. And that's what our body runs on. That's why when you eat sugar or sweets as a kid, candy in America, you get that sugar rush. Your brain lights up, you get that dopamine hit. And that's for a good reason. It's because we're designed for natural sugars. We're designed for fruit. Carbs are fine, sweet potatoes, potatoes. Any whole food carb source is going to be good. Now, that links on to the fourth point. It's actually what you combine it with. Now, if you combine it with high fat, that's when carbs are problematic because there's a lot of half-truths in the nutrition and medical world. Yes, fruit could raise your blood sugar, but not fruit on its own. It's because you're eating too much dietary fat. Now, fat is a macronutrient. There's 9 calories per gram of fat, 4 calories per gram of carbohydrate, 4 calories per gram of protein. So when you're overeating fat, not only is it calorie dense and it's going to lead to weight loss a lot quicker, it's also really problematic because fat is like a sludge. The body doesn't respond well to fat. Basically, the fat goes in our bloodstream, it makes us feel lethargic and makes basically insulin resistance. So if you've ever heard the term insulin resistance, that's what it's like a precursor for diabetes. So what it means is your body needs to release more insulin. The pancreas needs to release more insulin, which is a hormone, which is responsible for letting sugar in the cell. So basically every cell, it wants sugar, it wants that energy, it wants to feel alive, it needs that fuel. So if you've got fat in the bloodstream and the cell walls and membranes obstructing things, what it does is it means more insulin has to be secreted by the pancreas to allow the sugar in. So while some people say just cut out sugar completely and go keto, you've still got all that fat in your system and you're becoming fatter long term, even though you'll get short term weight loss. Whereas when you actually cut back on the fat and increase your carbs, you have better insulin sensitivity. You don't need to release as much insulin to allow the sugar in. So by removing the high fat intake in your diet, you're actually allowing the sugar to get into the cells more. You're not obstructing your blood vessels, your cells, everything. So by reducing your dietary fat, you get more energy, you can eat more without actually gaining weight. Now, if you want to get super fat, yeah, mix carbs and fat, but I'm sure most of us don't want to be sumo wrestlers. So what I actually recommend specifically is 10 to 15% of your total daily calories coming from fat, around 70 to 80% coming from carbs, and then protein will fill in the rest. So the reason why that's low fat is our industries like, meat, dairy, nut butters, all these big industries, they promote high fat. There's huge money to be made in these industries. A lot of them are subsidized and it's a big earner. So this high fat culture is promoted, whereas a high carb culture, like rice, beans, potatoes, fruit, veggies, which aren't that high in carbs, but all that side of things. There's no money to be made. There's hardly any government grants. There's hardly any subsidies. Essentially, it's not a big earner, so it's not promoted. But when you live a high carbohydrate lifestyle, for me personally, and all the people I've interviewed who are thriving, I'd say 95% of them are high carb, and you just have a lot more energy. If you're an athlete especially, this will really resonate with you. You've always been taught carbohydrate load. Why would you just carbohydrate load before an event? Why not do it every single day so your brain has more energy, so you have more energy, just to go about your day-to-day life? So yeah, 10 to 15% of your total daily calories coming from carbs. I'd recommend using the app Chronometer to work out how many daily calories you need on average for your goals. And basically, it'll show a breakdown. I'll put on screen now what it will actually look like. But essentially, it will say, okay, 75% of your calories are coming from carbohydrates, 10% from fat, and the rest from protein. And then it will give you a good breakdown. For most people, when you actually look at this, it's probably going to be 30% fat or higher, which is super problematic because you're just sluggish, you get the blood sugar issues, and yeah, it's just not good long term. And this links in nicely to my 5th point, which is protein. Honestly, this topic, high protein, it's another huge earner for these industries, protein powder, whey powder, all of these things like whey isolate, it's just leftover protein, all this high protein. For 99.9% of people, you really don't have to worry about protein. It's just a big money earner and it's actually detrimental, like for your kidneys. It's so detrimental for longevity. A lot of the longest lived cultures, they have low protein diets. And honestly, to actually be protein deficient, you basically have to be malnourished. The only people who get that malnourishment and the protein deficiency undereat total calories. And, to actually be deficient, you need 2.5% of your calories to come from protein. Now, most fruits give 5% of their calories from protein, so you're going to be fine. Mother's milk, breast milk, that's 5 to 7% protein. So that's when we do our most rapid development, most rapid growing, and that's only 5 to 7% total protein from breast milk. So we really don't have to fixate on it. There's a lot of myths, like you need a gram per pound. Some people say 1.5 grams per pound. It's far too much. Your body doesn't need that. It can recycle all the protein. You don't need to keep consuming it. And the only reason you need to consume more and more protein is because your body's not absorbing it properly. So when you actually scale that back, you'll be fine. Unless you want to be a super elite bodybuilder, Mr. Olympia, yeah, you're going to need protein powders. But for 99% of people who just want to be fit, healthy, athletic, they want to recover well, they want to still build muscle, you don't need a lot of protein. I personally recommend like 0.8 grams per kilo, which is nothing. But don't even worry about it. Don't fixate on it. We prioritize carbs, lowering your fat, the protein will take care of itself. As long as you're eating whole foods, you're going to feel fine. There's also the argument of amino acids and like complete protein versus incomplete proteins with plant proteins. Basically, we have essential amino acids that the body needs. I'll put on screen all the ones there, but it's 9 essential amino acids. And basically, people say meat is more superior because it's a complete protein source. It means it has all the essential amino acids in one package, which, yeah, that is complete because you're eating a dead bit of flesh, dead tissue. That's why you're eating something that is made up of protein, because we're made up of amino acids, but we don't need that complete structure in one meal. You can get that throughout the course of the day, the week. All you got to do is combine different plant foods. If you're only eating one plant, yeah, you're probably going to be lacking one of the essential amino acids. But rice and beans is a common example. That gives you all the complete protein you need. So as long as you're combining a diverse amount of plants in your diet, you're going to feel absolutely fine. You don't need to stress about protein. And I totally get it can feel like really overwhelming, and there's a lot of conflicting info out there. If you resonate with me and my message, I do offer one-to-one coaching. If you'd like to maybe get a tailored plan or whole lifestyle audit, then that's perfect for that. Working on the mental side of things as well, and just cutting through the confusion. If you want to work with me, you want to speak to me, you can book a free call, see if we're a good fit, and I'll just leave that top link in the description. The 6th mistake I see, thinking you have to be a perfectionist, thinking you have to do this overnight, like you really have to just cut out all your old foods and old habits overnight. You don't have to do that. Rome wasn't built in a day. For me personally, I am quite a extreme personality. I'm quite a go-getter, so I like to just jump into things straight away. But you really don't have to be a perfectionist. Let's say you have a bit of meat, you have a bit of dairy, you forget, you don't check the ingredients. You'll be fine. Like, just focus on your next best action. Okay, I've done that. Focus on the present moment. What can I actually do now? You're going to be so much better off. Like, honestly, don't have to dwell on things. We're all only human. It's not going to kill you unless you like keep eating that way. Then yeah, keto diet, carnivore diet might kill you. But you'll be fine. Just no stress, no pressure. Just relieve that expectation on yourself, release that expectation, and you're going to feel fine. You're going to just no longer be worrying, no longer be stressing. It's going to make the experience a lot more enjoyable for yourself. Just do the best you can. Obviously, don't just use it as an excuse to binge eat, but just focus on what you can actually do now in the present moment, and it's just so much more freeing. And this links into the 7th mistake, which is just honestly overcomplicating meals. They can be real simple. The reason why I don't film a lot of what I eat in a day videos or recipe videos or recipe ebooks and PDFs is because I'm really simple. I eat a lot of similar things. I rotate a few ingredients here and there for diversity, but you really don't have to stress about making these 30 ingredient recipes. Yes, it can be fun when you've got friends coming over. Yes, it can be fun if you really enjoy cooking. Great, tap into that. But for me personally, when I try to overcomplicate things, it takes ages, it's stressful, it's expensive, it's just not worth it. So just simple recipes you enjoy. Maybe it's a big fruit smoothie, just rotate one ingredient, maybe eat a seasonal fruit. It doesn't have to be this unrealistic, glamorous YouTuber thing that you see where they're making all these recipes. A lot of these people don't eat these recipes. A lot of it's inauthentic. They're making it just because, one, it looks nice, two, it is a good advocate for the lifestyle. It makes it look more enticing to others, but it's not that sustainable. You'll do that maybe once a week. You'll make something extravagant. So find nice, simple recipes you like, you enjoy. Just change around a few ingredients, and it's honestly going to just make the longevity aspect so much easier. As long as you eat enough variety throughout the course of the weeks and months, you'll be fine. You could eat a mono meal of bananas, let's say, just for breakfast, like 5, 6, 7 bananas, and you're going to be fine as long as you're eating a variety of other foods throughout the day and week. You're going to be perfect. So if you have a simple meal, don't worry, that's actually perfect. It's going to digest better than like all these ingredients, and you're going to actually feel even better. So it's a great thing if you eat simply. And then point number 8 is something I've touched on a lot in the past on my channel, but if a lot of you are new to the lifestyle, you won't know this, and it's about the power of raw foods, living foods. So basically, humans, as I showed earlier, we're frugivores. We didn't used to cook our food, and a lot of people think that, these are all theories, but a lot of people think that we actually have de-evolved since discovering fire and cooking food, and it was a survival tool because we didn't have all these fresh fruits and veggies about. So we had to cook meat, we had to cook grains, things that maybe couldn't be eaten raw. But essentially, when you cook a food, you denature the enzymes. The enzymes are like the living things that help digest food, and they're just a living component of food that's essential to life. And when you cook a food, as I recently interviewed Lou Corona, I'm not sure if it'll be on the channel, but he's 74 and he looks amazing. And what he says is enzymes are the key to all life. And when you cook a food, that means your pancreas has to actually release these digestive enzymes to break down the food, because you're denaturing the ones that would be in the food. So by cooking it, you're destroying that, and you're creating a bit more acidity in the body. You're creating a little bit more work for your body and your pancreas, and a little bit of cooked food here and there, that's fine. But if you want to be like optimal, eat as many raw foods as you can, especially earlier on in the day. Obviously, fruits raw, certain veggies you can eat raw, like lettuce, spinach, cucumber, celery, tomatoes. You can eat them all raw, and they're amazing. And it hydrates you more. You're not cooking the water out of the food. You also destroy a lot of vitamins, like water-soluble vitamins, vitamin C. As soon as you start cooking that goes out of the food. So if you want the most nutrients and you want to eat the food as it's intended to be recognized by the body, please don't cook your food, or don't cook it as much as before. If it's a food that you can eat raw, opt to eat it raw every single time. If you need to cook to get in calories, that's totally understandable. But I would recommend looking into a raw vegan lifestyle. If you are somewhere tropical, somewhere with really good organic fruits, is perfect. But if you live in the Western world, I don't recommend it anymore, because it's easy to run into deficiencies. So if you need to cook your food, don't cook it as long. Opt for steaming, opt for boiling, because you don't want to nuclear your food. You want to keep some nutrients in it. So that's what I'd recommend for that. And there's a lot of misconceptions. Some people say you actually make more nutrients bioavailable when you cook foods, but a lot of that is, it's kind of half truth. What they do is they cook the tomatoes. So obviously 400 grams of cooked tomatoes is going to be more total tomatoes than 400 grams of raw tomatoes. So that's why you would get more lycopene from tomatoes, because you're actually eating more total tomatoes. You've just cooked out the water so you can eat more of them for the actual volume. So you will have more of certain nutrients, but you're eating more tomatoes. So it's not like it makes that nutrient more bioavailable. It's just you're eating more of the actual thing. So if you can, foods that can be eat them raw, and you're going to have so much more energy, vitality, and you're going to feel amazing. And point number 9 is underestimating the transition and the detox side of things, because basically, as soon as you transition to a new lifestyle, whether it's you take up running, whether it's you take up a new hobby, whether it's you change your diet, changing diet is one of the biggest things. You go through a transitionary period, you adjust your body. Maybe when you first exercise, you're really sore at first. It's the same with diet. When you change things drastically, or even a little bit, your gut microbiome has to adjust. Your gut microbiome is like these friendly bacteria, if you eat the right foods, that feed on, all the things you're feeding it. So if you eat a lot of plants, you get a really healthy gut bacteria. And when you switch from meat and dairy and maybe a standard American diet, it takes time to adjust. So you may have a little period where you're a bit bloated, you're a bit gassy, things aren't digesting too well. This can last days, weeks, months, depending on where you're at, how long you've lived your previous lifestyle. So if you get like a lot of toxins come out, you get like rashes, you get maybe a bit of lethargy, but you feel like you're doing all the right things, it could just be toxins coming out, because these toxins haven't had the opportunity to come out, because the energy from the body has been spent trying to digest all your previous unhealthy foods and toxins you're ingesting. So toxins can come out Don't worry, just try push through it if you're actually doing the right things. If you need to slow things down, maybe eat more denser foods so you can slow down toxins that way. For me personally, like I've had a few super low fat days, and that's really detoxifying. When you drink a lot of fruit juices, you eat a lot of fruit, it can bring out little pimples on your skin, little rashes, but that is fine if it's short term. If it's prolonged, then I would look into it, maybe tweak a few things. But detox is totally normal. It's just your body getting rid of stuff, and you want to embrace that. Sometimes you've got to get worse to get better, and that's often the case initially. Mistake number 10 is not eating enough diversity and quality of produce, so you lack micronutrients. Basically, without going too nerdy, a micronutrient is just something you need in a small quantity. So macros, you've got protein, fat, and carbs. That's macronutrients. And then micronutrients are things like vitamin C, vitamin B12, vitamin D, selenium, zinc, all those things you hear, they are micronutrients. We need them in small quantities. And basically, if you don't eat enough diversity or enough quality, you're not going to get the different micronutrients. If I only eat bananas, yes, I can do that short term. But if I do that for a year, I'm going to start lacking things. I might start lacking selenium. I might start lacking zinc, depending on what's actually missing in the produce. I'm going to be lacking certain things. So by eating a diversity of plants, eating the rainbow, as they say, throughout the course of the weeks and months, you're going to make sure you're basically hitting all your macros. And it's that simple. I won't elaborate too much on that. But eat the rainbow throughout the course of the weeks and months, and you're going to feel amazing, and you're going to make sure you're hitting all your nutrient needs. And the 11th mistake is not supplementing. So the two supplements I'd recommend is vitamin B12 and vitamin D. Now, you may not need vitamin D if you're in the summer, you're somewhere warm where you're getting enough sunshine, especially if you're going out in the middle of the day, you're going to be fine. But if it's winter, I would recommend a vitamin D3 plus K2. Vitamin D is so important for a lot of hormones in the body. And vitamin B12, it's more a flaw of our modern lifestyle because we don't rotate crops, we churn up our soil, we spray pesticides, we don't live a natural lifestyle anymore, we overwash our produce, we're not going to get enough vitamin B12 in most cases. So a lot of animals are even given vitamin B12 supplements like cows because they're just not producing the bacteria anymore. So basically what we're doing, we're destroying our soils. I won't go into it too much, but there's a thing called cobalt in the soil, and then this bacteria feeds on that and it produces B12, which our gut loves and our body loves, and that's important for our nervous system, our energy, a lot of different functions. So basically, for our modern practices, we're over farming, we're destroying a lot of things that would naturally be in the soil. So it is worth taking a supplement. My personal preference is like a sublingual. It's like a little drops, you just put it on the tongue. And yeah, that's usually methylcobalamin. I wouldn't bother with cyanocobalamin because people say it has cyanide in it. So yeah, just get methylcobalamin. Some of them have multiple, like I think it's called like adenocobalamin, something like that. It's a long scientific word. And basically, you don't want the cyanide version is called like cyanocobalamin. You don't really want that if you don't have to. But yeah, B12, definitely recommend. Vitamin D if it's not summer or you're not getting enough, depending on where you live, and you're going to be fine. They're mainly the two deficiencies that I see the most common. And then the next one is ignoring the other aspects of life. You maybe potentially ignore the sunshine, you ignore good sleep, good quality relationships, positive influences, positive thinking. So yes, the diet and lifestyle is amazing, but it's not a cure-all. It's not like an end-all be-all. So it's really important to focus on other lifestyle aspects as well and see health as a whole, complete, holistic picture. Try reduce your stress, try meditate, try journal, try enjoy your life as much as possible, because that is the secret to a happy, healthy, life full of longevity. So diet, yes, a big aspect. I'd say it's probably 80% of the equation. But if you have the best diet in the world and you're super stressed, it's going to undermine everything. So focus on different aspects. Maybe if your diet is really good and you've been vegan a while, or you feel like you're doing all the right things, tackle the mindset side of things, tackle the exercise side of things. My whole methodology is the whole holistic picture and the wheel of health. So focus on the different aspects and you're going to find you just feel better, you look better, you're more enjoyable to be around. So yeah, that focus on the holistic picture. And then the next one is not planning for social situations, not knowing what to say for friends and family is super common. You feel like you're being judged, you feel like people aren't supportive, you feel like you're going to fall off the wagon when you go to a restaurant or around a friend's house. Now, a couple of things I recommend. You don't have to preach to, the wrong choir. You don't have to try convince others to do it. You just say, okay, I'm just trying this out. I'm just trying plant-based. If you feel like vegan is a trigger word, I'm just trying out plant-based, or I'm just trying out this new approach. I saw it online. I've researched it. It seems pretty good. Just going to try it out. I'll just let you know how it goes. I hope you can respect my decisions. I respect all your eating habits. I hope this doesn't cause any friction between us. This is just what I'm doing. I feel really good. I feel amazing. These are the reasons why I'm doing it. But you don't even have to explain yourself. So yeah, I'm just trying it out. Hope you can support me. And then obviously look up the menus. Most places have vegan options. And if not, you can ask for a salad. You can ask for grilled veggies. You can ask for like rice and veggies. You can find whatever in most places. Let's say it's a steakhouse. You could politely say to whoever invited you, I'm actually like trying out this plant-based thing or this vegan thing. Is it possible if we could just maybe try somewhere else, here? And then you could suggest somewhere that does meat and vegan options as well. And that way you can arrange things that way. And if you're going around someone's house, just tell them. It's super common now. And most people are very accepting. My friends and family have been very accepting. They actually really accommodate me now. If I go visit my family, they make special things for me, or they'll get in a lot of fruit for me because they know I love fruit. So be open, be willing to share, because people are a lot more supportive than you think. And if they're not, just say, hey, I don't judge you. Can we just, like, diet is a small aspect of our lives. Can we just focus on what we've got in common? How's work been for you? Just take the focus away from diet, and it's going to alleviate a lot of stress, a lot of pressure. No need to preach to them. Just demonstrate with your results. Demonstrate with the things you do in your life. Don't tell them, just show them, as my dad always used to say. The next thing is super simple, but how can you eat vegan or plant-based if you don't have vegan or plant-based food in the house? What I'd personally recommend is give it to a food bank, give it to a friend who eats meat, give it away. Just replace it with an abundance of fruits and veggies and, seeds. If you want potatoes, sweet potatoes, just replace your cupboards with those foods, and it's going to reward you, because that way, when you're hungry and you need a snack, you grab a banana rather than a chocolate bar or some beef jerky. I don't know what you'd snack on. It's been so long since I eat that sort of thing. So basically, replace the old things and surround yourself, make your environment reflect who you want to be and the decisions you want to make in your future, and it's going to be so much easier. One of the first things on my checklist for new clients is actually removing and giving away the old food and replacing it with a new food, because in order to make a new change, you have to embody the characteristics of the new person you want to become, the new individual you want to become. And honestly, you don't miss it. It takes a little while for the habit to build, the muscle to build, of this new healthy way of eating. But once you get over that initial discomfort, honestly, you're never going to look back. And then the next mistake I see is just more vegan junk food and processed food and oils and gluten. These are things I would recommend scaling back. It's fine when you're transitioning. At the very start, I did have like mock meats, I had like bean burgers, I had pre-packaged things, cereal bars, some nuts, some seeds, pre-packaged. That's fine. Like, initially, I wouldn't make it a staple of your lifestyle. I would gradually transition and try and go whole food, plant-based. And I would recommend removing gluten. It's a real irritant to our gut. It backs us up, causes a lot of allergies. The crops that are often containing gluten are heavily sprayed. It's just not great for the body. Gluten, oils, processed foods, I'd really recommend just cutting back on, and you're going to feel so much better. You're not going to get the cravings, because often you get cravings when you eat processed foods because you're lacking nutrition, you're lacking fiber, and your body's crying out for that fiber, that sugar, that nutrition, natural sugar, I should say, from fruits and veggies and all that side of things. So if you replace your snacks with whole food snacks, find nice whole food alternatives, dates are great, then you're going to not get the cravings, you're going to have more energy, because you can be a junk food vegan. Maybe you're just doing it for the animals, then cool. But you're not going to be a great advocate for the lifestyle. You want to have energy, you want to have vitality, you want to look and feel your best so you can show up for others. So the best way to do that is whole foods, and they're going to reward you back. Another big mistake I see is people following 10 or so gurus. I've done it in the past myself, And I want to caveat this by saying that, yes, it can be valuable to learn from different sources, take a little bit from him, a little bit from her, combine things. But if you're learning from different gurus with conflicting info, let's say you're watching a carnivore guy, then you're watching an omnivore guy, then you're watching a Mediterranean diet, then you're watching a vegan, then you're watching a raw vegan. You're getting all this conflicting info and you're not going to do anything. It's going to lead to cognitive dissonance. It's going to create stress. You're not actually going to take any actions that align with the kind of lifestyle you want to live. So just pick someone who you resonate with. Maybe it's me, maybe it's someone else. I don't know. I don't care. It doesn't have to be me. Find someone who you resonate with, stick with them, find their content, apply the basic principles that they teach, and then, yeah, you can fine tune it, but understand the core reasons why you're doing these things and the basic principles of the kind of lifestyle you want to live. Understand your foundational values. Okay, well, at my core level, I don't want to harm animals anymore. So the lowest I'm going to go is, plant-based. If I have a bit of junk food, that doesn't matter as long as I'm not harming animals. So coming back to your why is super important. Then you're going to find people who you resonate with, and you don't need any gurus. Just find someone you resonate with and kind of replicate, emulate what they do, find their tips, find their advice, and that's going to be so much easier. Honestly, because when you've got all these conflicting sources, you just end up doing nothing and you go backwards. And then the final mistake I see is not getting support, not getting mentorship, not getting coaching, not watching people who you aspire to be like, not surrounding yourself with people who, are on a similar wavelength, a similar lifestyle. It's easy done at the start, especially with that support network. At first, it can seem like no one out there gets you. No one's on this lifestyle, but trust me, there's millions of vegans and people out there like it. And that's actually part of the reason why I created my free Facebook group. Again, we had about 100 people in there. And yeah, that's going to be for vegans, raw vegans, vegetarians, anyone who is of a similar wavelength and lifestyle, and they want to live healthy, they want to lose weight, they want to improve their energy. That community is going to be perfect for that. And if you want to get in there, I'll leave that in the description somewhere. And also, if you want this video in like a ebook format or written format, I'll leave it top link in the description as well, or second link, one of the two. And yeah, if you want to work with me one-to-one, you want more direct support, maybe watching videos, maybe talking to people isn't enough, then I do offer that, as I touched on earlier. I'll leave that top link in the description, and that's perfect if you want to lose weight, you want to transition, or you want to improve your vegan lifestyle or raw vegan lifestyle, you want to just look and feel your best, then I'd love to work with you. I'll leave that in the description somewhere as well. And I hope this has been valuable. I really wish I had this at the start of my journey 6 years ago, and it would have saved me a lot of pain, suffering, mistakes, but sometimes we have to learn the hard way. But if you can learn from others and shortcut your success, then honestly do it, because time is so precious. It's super precious. So yeah, time is all we have. Time with our loved ones, quality of life, that's all we have. So really spend your time in the most productive ways, on track to your goals, and you're just going to live an amazing life. So anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. Enjoy the rest of your day. Peace and love.